Kanan Jarrus from Star Wars Rebels is hugely underrated as a character. He is everything that Legends Luke becomes, and he represents everything that the Jedi were not, and everything that the Jedi could have been to prevent their fall during the Republic era, the prequel era. Kanan was probably the best out of all of the Jedi, even Obi-Wan, when it comes to his morals. There are three components of Kanan Jarrus, aka Caleb Dume's life, that make him the one to represent what a Jedi should be. In Season 1, Kanan was very impatient when he was teaching Ezra the ways of the Force. In fact, the first lesson that we see, he gets fed up, gives up, and this causes him to try and seek out a teacher. That's when they go to the Jedi Temple and talk to Master Yoda. And Kanan has to overcome his fear of that. He does. He quickly learns that lesson, that no matter how much he protects Ezra, there is only so much he can do, and if Ezra turns to the dark side, or if Ezra dies in battle, that's out of Kanan's grasp. That's one thing that Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship did not have. Obi-Wan was constantly authoritative, constantly nagging at Anakin to stick with the Jedi code, to not engage with attachments, to be patient, and he even encouraged him to spy on the Council in Revenge of the Sith. I'll go back to this, but Obi-Wan, for example, didn't commit to Anakin's needs. He committed to the Jedi Order's needs, and rather the Senate's needs. When we go through Season 2 and Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, the narrative becomes more about Ezra's fall to the dark side, Ezra's potential fall to the dark side. This is when he meets Maul. This is when he starts interacting with the dark side holocron, and his fighting style becomes a lot more violent. He even, at the start of Season 3, I believe, he uses what one would call a Jedi mind trick to control an AT-ST, but it seemed a lot more intense, and it seemed like he's actually living through the pilot's mind for override. And Ezra does become more powerful, but that doesn't mean he's a better Jedi. Kanan's journey here consists of coming to terms with this potential, this risk. This is when Kanan meets the Bendu on Atollon, and Kanan finds this ancient being called the Bendu. When he is blinded out of his control by Maul, and he asks this being how to prevent Ezra's turn to the dark side. This is when he's taught the lesson that, again, these things can happen or can't happen, and that it's not as simple as good and bad, light and dark. The Bendu himself says, "I'm the one in the middle." I personally don't think that means he is in the middle of light and dark. I think that means he is out of that spectrum altogether. I think that means he is simply a Force being, or a being that is attuned to the Force. Surprisingly, what the typical Jedi would do would not even be to consult this being. Yoda might, but generally it wouldn't be in their interest to consult a being that has no affairs with the Jedi Order, Kanan takes on the Bendu's advice seriously, and he becomes more attuned to the Force because of it. This same visit, he learns that he can connect to the spiders on Attilan, these creatures that have been making this rebel cell's base such an issue for ages. He learns that they are scared. This is an ability that Ezra is more attuned to. But ironically enough, at that point, Kanan is the one who can connect with these creatures. Ezra can't. And that's because Ezra fears them, much like everyone else. So, where am I going with all of this? His teaching style, for one. Kanan, unlike Obi-Wan, maybe similar to Qui-Gon, evolves to have an understanding and a kindness for Ezra, as opposed to what he started with in Season 1, which was a hesitance and a distrust for Ezra. This does come up time to time. He takes away the Sith holocron, but eventually he gives it back, and he trusts Ezra with it. He trusts that whether Ezra will turn to the dark side, that will be Ezra's decision. I also think Ezra's green lightsaber is more of a representation of that decision, that independence. I think that shows Ezra's independence from his master, even though he's not a knight yet. It shows that Kanan can trust Ezra, and that no matter whether Ezra falls, will not be Kanan's fault, because Kanan trusts Ezra. He has compassion for him, and he has trust. I believe that this actually discourages Ezra from turning to the dark side, because unlike Anakin, Ezra knows that people trust him. In the prequel era, Anakin was constantly placed with mistrust, and people feared him. He was denied the rank of master. He was asked to spy on Palpatine, and Palpatine asked him to spy on the Council. He was caught up in this mess, and that made him distrust everyone, except for, unfortunately, Palpatine. This goes into my next point. Kanan learns that the Jedi's view on love is completely wrong. This isn't directly mentioned. Kanan's whole journey is with this small band of rebel heroes. Unlike the Jedi of the prequel era, he is not protecting Coruscant, he's not protecting the people. He's protecting the small band of rebels that he's working with, and he gets attached to them, much like any normal person. The Jedi of the prequel era were taught that you should be, as a Jedi, protecting everyone unconditionally, without specific attachment. But Kanan embraced that. At the very end of his life, he protected Hera and everyone else. It actually gave him powers to defeat the Inquisitor when he believed that Ezra was dead. At the same time, when he was fighting Maul on that dark side planet with the temple, he won. He ended the battle quick. He didn't kill Maul because he had the motivation that he needed to get back to Ezra and protect him. This gave him power. And the power he got was not to gain power over people, it was to protect people, and people that he was attached to, people that he loved. The final component that makes Kanan a better person than most Jedi is that he listened to the Force, not to the Jedi Order, not to the dogmatic Jedi Code, not to politics, not to the Senate. He listened to the Force. He trusted the words of the Bendu, this creature that he'd never heard of before, never understood, was probably thousands of years old. He didn't know anything about it, and he took the Bendu's advice. He had different ideas of love, and he used them to protect his friends. I believe this is what made him stronger when he lost his sight. He became more attuned to the Force. He had one of his senses lost. He had to dig deep. This is what made him win all these fights. This is what granted him sight at the very end of his life. The Force gave him power because he used that power to do good, to protect people that he loved. Kanan understood that love was the secret to being a good person, not to being a good Jedi. Kanan teaches us that no matter what code you are living by, no matter what possibly dogmatic, restrictive code you are living by, law you are living by, doesn't mean that you should follow it. You should follow morality first. That's where true power lives. Not power in a corruptive way, power in a compassionate way, power to protect people.